Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. My name's Daryl Lim, and I'm your host. This week is the start of my showcase of limited and special edition whiskeys, beginning with the Aberfeldy 21-year-old single malt whiskey matured in Madeira casks, a travel retail exclusive. Before we get started, would you do me a favor? Click the thumbs up button below, share this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need your help to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of year. All it takes is for each of you to invite 2 new people to this site this week. Can you do that for me? If you're new here, welcome. You can watch and browse all of my other whiskey reviews on this channel. I'm always open to your feedback so we can make this journey even better. Aberfeldy is the flagship brand of Dewar & Sons, which recently celebrated its 175th anniversary. Did you watch the trailer video I posted last week about the Aberfeldy distillery? If you did, you would recall the reason why they call this the Golden Dram. Located within the lush valley in the foothills of the Central Highlands of Scotland, the distillery's water source is the famous Peated burn, renowned locally for its water quality and famed for its deposits of alluvial gold. The key to the signature sweetness of Aberfeldy's malts is in its time-honored traditions and techniques such as long fermentation, which produces rare honey notes. This 21-year-old is finished in the finest Madeira casks, spending up to 12 months in the ex-wine casks before bottling. I like to divide my whiskey reviews into 5 areas: color, nose, palate, finish, and pairing. You'll notice as well that I'm back to using my Glencairn nosing glasses for this week's single malt tasting. So let's get started on those 5 areas. Color. You'll notice that this whiskey has a golden brown shade, and that's a few tones darker than its 16-year-old sibling. For the nose, you can try 2 separate approaches to help you detect the distinct scents of this whiskey. The first is to inhale with your nose and exhale with your mouth, like so. And the second approach is to put your nose in the center of that nosing glass, but only inhale and exhale with your mouth, like so. In each instance, be careful not to accidentally exhale with your nose, because by doing so, it would cause condensation to go into your glass, thus contaminating your whiskey. So I'll give you a minute to try those 2 approaches. Do you notice different scents for each approach? I detect hints of pineapple, citrus, and a tinge of vanilla, followed very closely with marzipan, cinnamon, star anise, and a hint of brown sugar. It is definitely a nice touch for its tropical sweetness and spiciness. And for the palate, we also have 2 approaches to tasting this whiskey. The first is what I call the short taste. Take a small sip and swallow the whiskey right away without letting it linger too long on your palate. For the second tasting, I call it the long taste. For the long taste, take a slightly larger sip and let the whiskey now swirl around the insides of your mouth and your lips for approximately 20 seconds. And then you swallow that. Now, for the long taste, that is also when you'll be able to determine how long the whiskey lingers on your palate for, which determines its finish. In both options, before you swallow that whiskey, take a small breath, and when you're swallowing it, you're gonna pretend that you're blowing out like a dragon through your nose, and tasting on your taste buds, like so. So let's try those both approaches. And so now let's try the short taste. Those sweet tropical notes are very vivid. I can taste pineapple, lemon, and nectarines. And now for the second tasting, we'll do the long taste. Remember to give this about 20 seconds to let it swirl and coat your palate before you swallow and taste this. And on this second taste, the spicy notes of cinnamon and star anise really start to emerge. This dram is definitely sweet and oaky, and I also taste hints of walnut and light floral notes. I would consider this to be a medium bold whiskey with a long finish and definitive hints of tropical sweetness and light spiciness. Thanks to its Madeira cask process, its lingering flavors of nuttiness and oakiness emerge to bring about the richness of this whiskey. This whiskey would pair well alongside some tropical dried fruit such as apricots or even red dates. Both would absorb the sweetness yet bring out the tropical flavors of this whiskey. I actually decided to pair this whiskey with my fig jam and keto crackers, and it turned out to be an amazing combination. Since this Aberfeldy 21-year-old Madeira cask is marked a travel retail exclusive, it can only be purchased at a duty-free shop when crossing the international border. The price for this Aberfeldy 21-year-old ranges between $300 and $400 Canadian, depending on location and availability. Whiskies marked travel retail exclusive means it's only available at duty-free shops. As a frequent flyer, I've always kept an eye out for these types of whiskies to add to my collection. Now that the world is turning a corner on the battle against COVID-19, I eagerly anticipate traveling internationally again in order to procure such whiskies. If you have a sweet tooth and enjoy the lingering richness of a non-peated whiskey with hints of cinnamon spice and tropical zestiness, then this would make for an amazing collector's item for you. The premium price reflects the quality of this dram, and in my opinion, is a worthy addition to your collection. We have come to the end of this week's whiskey review. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and fellow whiskey lovers. Join me next time as I showcase the Glenlivet Archived Special Edition 21-year-old. Until then, wishing you all a wonderful summer. Slàinte.